No, Thorns sadly are not yet viable, but there are enough uniques and passive points that would suggest that maybe Thorns is gonna be like actually not a meme but actual viable build later in the future, maybe with like a druid class introduction. So I'm gonna show you some uniques and passive tree, and right now if you want to just rely on Thorns, you're gonna have like absolutely terrible time. There are a couple bosses and couple of few monsters that do like very quick hits with very small hits. So in that case, they would die very quickly. However, most of the other time, like 99.9% of the times, you're gonna have a horrible time with just Thorns alone. But you could use Thorns as a separate thing to add a bit of damage, I don't know, but it's just not really worth it right now. Now there's a difference between Thorns and Reflection. Reflect is a percent of the damage that you take, and Thorns is a flat damage that you kind of stack together to reflect to the monsters. It doesn't matter how much damage you take. So you could, for example, even block, like every time you get hit you reflect the damage, but the block still counts as a hit. So you could build like really tanky, pretty much take no damage, use the skill that raises shield and blocks all the hits, and just do Thorns damage. But sadly, it just does not have enough scaling right now. There is a helmet called Crown of the Pale King, which makes Thorns damage is triggered by all hits. Normally Thorns is only for melee attacks, but with this helmet, spells and range attacks and melee attacks will not reflect but will trigger Thorns hits against those enemies. But it won't work with the Bramble Jack, sadly. Now there are a couple other items that I want to show. The Cloak of Flame, I don't think that that's for Thorns build. The Fire Thorns, that's whatever. That's also whatever. Now this one is just a leveling item. It gives quite a lot of flat Thorns at that level, but later on you're gonna be able to get more Thorns on a rare body armor. This thing, it gives 15% base critical strike chance for Thorns. Normally I believe Thorns have none, because it's not a skill, it's not based on your weapon, so it should have none, just like unarmed attacks. But this just adds a critical chance for Thorns. Or you could use boots that give you 100% increased Thorn damage. Otherwise, normally you can get Thorns modifier on body armor, shield and belt, and that's it. Now, and these are the values. So I am currently below level 35. So this is how much Thorns I can get on shield and belt, and I already have body armor that has like sort of this amount of Thorns. The body armor is not gonna be better, and I'm already maxed out on Thorns, flat Thorns. One big problem is that it's not a skill, you cannot support it, but there are some nodes on the passive skill tree that increase Thorn damage, like these nodes increase Thorn damage, these nodes increase critical Thorn damage and gives another Thorns base critical strike chance. You can also get flat Thorn damage scaling from your armor. Physical Thorns damage equal to 2% of the equipped body armor. And let's say you use Brass Dome with like 2,200 armor. That's still very low amount. You're gonna be getting what? 40 flat damage? 2% of 2,200. Yeah, that's 44 flat damage. That's like nothing, although you can get a bit more increased Thorn damage, and also this one increased Thorn damage if you have blocked recently. There is quite a bit of Thorns, like they wouldn't add passive trees and the whole unique items if Thorns was not supposed to be like a possible viable build. However, right now there's no ascendancy that scales with that. Feels like Titan is probably the best choice because it's kind of built around scaling armor, and if you build around armor, you're probably gonna want to use this and stack armor, so may as well go like really tanky with block and just reflect Thorn. Oh, sorry, trigger Thorn, not reflect Thorn but trigger Thorn. When it comes to skills, you can use scavenge plating, which does add flat amount of Thorns per broken armor on enemies. However, against bosses that's gonna be a bit trickier, because once you break armor, you can consume that armor with, for example, shockwave linked to the to this one, exploit weakness, so it will consume that armor and then you can break it again. But it's not gonna be like instant immediate, and you can stack this 10 times, so you can get quite good amount of Thorns. So for bosses that have thousands and millions of life, especially later on, right now Thorns is just not a real thing. You can, like I said, deal with some bosses that shoot a bunch of projectiles very quickly that do little damage, so you can easily tank them. Each projectile is gonna do Thorns damage to boss, and it's gonna quickly kind of do a lot of damage, but you're not gonna find that very often, especially in maps. On top of that, there's no AoE for Thorns. So like in Diablo 4, you can turn Thorns into AoE, so around you. So one enemy hits you, you proc the AoE, and you hit the other enemies that did not hit you. Without that, I'm not even sure how you would even clear. And also, as for the weapon, I don't even know what weapon would you want to use for Thorns right now. Maybe something in the future, maybe like flails or I don't know, something for druid. Although when you shapeshift, I think you do lose a weapon, so I'm not sure how a druid even work. Yeah, basically right now Thorns is kind of a joke. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this short video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.